What is up, guys? Coming at you for the third time, but you don't know that. Let me introduce my two partners for the Hive Week 2 Power Rankings. Why don't you two introduce yourselves?
Yo, what's up, guys? This is John W here, back again for your Hive Week 2 Power Rankings.
Yo, what is up, peoples? Lejon Flames here, helping out with the Week 2 Hive Power Rankings. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so this is our third time recording this, so I'm a little stumbly over my words, but it's fine. Let's get into number 16. We got
Taco Bell Sprout, coached by yours truly, John W, back again with the 16th.
John W is last in the power rankings, and before me and LeJon dig into him, why don't you defend yourself a little bit, John?
Well, there's not really much to be defended. I played pretty shit. I brought a couple interesting sets that weren't the greatest hindsight, but it's all good though. It's still early season. We can all bounce back. So yeah, I'm not
Okay.
that worried. I do think that I can bounce back, but I gotta put the effort in.
John, thanks for your honest response, but there is no bouncing back from this. First off,
What?
you bought Cocoon versus
Fuck
18.
you. Shut the fuck up. That bullshit.
You bought Cocoon versus 18 with Tapu Koko, Mega Venusaur, and Volcanion.
What do you
and not
mean
only
there's
that,
no bouncing back? It's week 2.
It doesn't matter.
All
It
right,
doesn't matter. It's over for you.
Let's start listing off the sins John W had in this game. So the only thing we liked about John W.
Dude, you misspelled Rindleberry, you idiot, you autist.
The
Fucking
only thing we
misspelled
liked about
Rindleberry.
John W is he somehow won with the worst possible Suicune set he could have
How the
brought.
fuck did you misspell
So,
Rindleberry?
clap
It's
it
not
up,
it's
clap
not
it up.
Rhinoberry, you fucking idiot.
Clap it up for John W almost winning with the worst possible set. So
Bro,
yeah.
LeJon can't spell. LeJon is actually black. What the?
So yeah, LeJon, as we both noted, LeJon, he brought Cocoon versus a Tapu Koko with the electric terrain up, Mega Venusaur, and a water immunity Volcanion. He was Mono Scald
And
Cocoon.
God, LeJon,
the only reason it almost worked is because Ace brought a team that was so ill-equipped for it and played around it so badly that it almost somehow won.
God.
But John didn't make the correct predictions around Tapu Koko, so it couldn't really clean up. And he messed up 2 different Endeavor bonds. First, he messed up by running Window instead of Sash on his Seismitoad. And secondly, he EV'd his Sceptile wrong and didn't have the right number of HP, so the substitute didn't put him at 1%, but instead he was at like 20-something, which is
25.
not very efficient. And his team pretty much got rolled by Tapu Koko, especially since he decided he was sacking his ground type to not really Endeavor anything. So
and on top
and
of
he
that,
bought the wrong nature on Mew.
Yeah, he was called my Mew, but he brought minus special attack Mew, which was obviously wrong. And overall, this was just a clusterfuck of a match. And there's little good to say about this match that John W had. Honestly, he should have won.
Yeah, so
if he brought good sets, but he didn't.
Yeah, so my thoughts at the end was that I played a bit recklessly. Like I should have looked over my prep. Maybe had someone look over it. But I do think that I can bounce back, hopefully.
One thing to note is John W made a lot of large trades this week. So
oh yeah, I did.
Getting rid of the Mega Sceptile, which I believe is a good decision. And he made a huge team shift. He got Salamence and Aerodactyl, making both of them his Z-Mons. So expect John W not to be out for the count just yet. He's 0-2 at the bottom of the week power rankings and probably the weakest team. But he can still make playoffs. And with his new team, we might see him make playoffs. So good luck to John W.
Interesting.
And let's get on to number 15. Why don't you talk about Alex, LeJon?
Okay, so Alex was playing against Zappy, and Alex, he bought a pretty good team. Like, he bought a team that had a lot of offensive presence, and it pressured Zappy's team down quite a bit. But the only problem with Alex's team is the fact that he had like really nothing to handle Clefable, which is what sort of was his downfall in the end. And even though Zappy's only real thing for Crocodile was Clefable, which didn't really love taking a knockoff, Alex didn't play around that well enough and let Crocodile die too early, which pretty much let Clefable run house and set up Calm Mind. And his Calm Mind Reuniclus got used against him because he got encored. And it was just, Alex played pretty well early game, but he just got out-prepped and just literally brought nothing that could handle Clefable. There's not much I can say about it.
Yeah, so elaborating off of what LeJon said, I feel like this is the second week in a row where Alex had momentum. Like, 80% of the match, but like at the end he just couldn't hold on. And it's kind of props to Zappy, who brought the encore Clefable, which shut down his Combine Reuniclus, as Lejon mentioned earlier, which I do believe that Alex can bounce back, but it'll be interesting because both of his games were winnable if he could have finished the game out with his prep, which his prep has been slacking, but his battling has been top notch.
Yeah, just to add a little bit on that, he used Crocodile very well, got rid of Golbat, and pressured Zappy a lot, as you guys said. But the fatal mistake he did was Crocodile was such a menace to Zappy's team, and he let it die super early. Also, one thing that was pretty funny about the game is that Infernape literally got pursuit trapped by Banded Weavile, which I thought was pretty
Oh
funny.
yeah, that was good. That
And
was a really ballsy play on Zappy's end, but it worked out in the end.
yeah, definitely. And the biggest problem with Alex is he's been playing super well, but in both games versus me and versus Zappy, there's just been this one Pokemon that just sent him to the hell and bodied him. In this week, it was Clefable, who literally just set up the +6 and just cleaned him up. So hopefully Alex
Yeah.
can start helping making his prep matches play, because if he does, he's going to be a force to reckon with. And let's get on to
Yeah,
number 13.
Yeah, I feel like Alex. Okay, let me say one final thing about
Go ahead.
Alex is that both of his games were easily winnable. Like he could be 2-0 at this point if he maybe like had like one or two different plays, which I guess we can say for a lot of people. But it's pretty amazing how a couple plays like make him from 2-0 to 0-2.
Yeah, definitely. Respect to Alex, and hopefully he can do better. And next is actually Turk, right? Why don't you, John and Lejon, why don't you guys talk a little bit about Turk, since you two know him
John, you
well?
can talk first.
Oh, you want me to go first? Oh yeah. So Turk played Jack O, and this was a very interesting game to say the least. As Turk got a bit hacks at the end with the Gliscor getting crit by the Latios, which really impacted the game. Because Turk said afterwards that he was a stall breaker Gliscor, which 1v1 the remainder of Jack's team. So losing that to a crit really blowed. Because I'm pretty sure Turk would have won without that crit. But let's not get too hasty there, as Turk ended up critting Mega Scizor with the close combat on Heracross, which also affected the game, the result of the game. So yeah, that's about it. Lejon, what do you think?
Even though his Glasgow got crit, I don't really know why he would stay on Lottie. It doesn't really make sense considering like he knows it wins. So I don't understand why he'd risk even staying in on a Lottie. And it could have like, I'm not sure if he knew his moveset at this point, but like he could have like maybe had Ice Beam and whipped that out and killed him. I mean, it whipped out Surf, which hit super effective, so that's a problem.
I think
And
Draco killed.
yeah. And Turk, like versus a bulky team like Jax, you gotta like get rocks up and keep them up, and Turk didn't really do that, which is a problem. So that way, things like Umbreon and Toxapass just sat there and annoyed his team, and they just got to pivot around things like Lottie that could just break through all of his offense. And pretty much Turk, he's been having weird matches these first 2 weeks where he hasn't been playing completely horribly, but he's just had no momentum for like any parts of these games, and that's why he's been losing. But hopefully he can come back.
Yeah, so also piggybacking off of what John said, I really do like the Aggron set that Turk brought this week. It had 3 coverage moves and taunt, which ended up putting in a good amount of work as it could hit all of Jack's team with really powerful damage. So that is also very nice. But the thing I didn't like is that Turk didn't get Stealth Rocks up, which really ended up being detrimental to the end result of the game.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I also want to add on just to that, speaking about good sets, I really liked his AV Rotom Heat, which checked the Salazzle very well, and the Thundy Eye had it not been weakened. I was actually, when I saw the replay and saw that +2 Sludge Wave did like 50%.
47.
I was
It
like,
did
bro,
47.
47? Yeah, that little, I was shocked, and I'm impressed that Turk brought such an innovative set.
Yeah,
So
that
you
was
guys
a
have any
very
closing thoughts?
very solid set.
So without further ado, let's get on to the next one. Number 13, we have John's opponent, Ace. Since you faced him, John, why don't you talk about him a little bit?
Oh, okay. So I ended up playing Ace this week, and it was a very, very interesting game to say the least, as he brought mons that couldn't deal with the Crocune when he had like 3 of the best answers in the game with Coco, Mega Venusaur, and Volcanion. So that was interesting because I didn't have a move to hit the Volcanion, but somehow I could still PB stall. So I don't know. This game was just very interesting.
Yeah, there isn't much good to say about Ace versus John W. It was just a mess all around. The only reason Ace is even this high was that he's 1-1 while everyone below him is 0-2. But there's just a lot going wrong. He had 3 hard counters to Crocune and still almost lost to Crocune. And
Yeah.
You guys talk.
Okay.
Even like I wasn't here for the beginning of Ace, but like pretty much Ace. First off, anything that wasn't a 6-0 this match with the team John brought was just a disgrace in general. And the fact that he let Crocune like just almost stall out his team and kept switching Coco's hard into it, even though if it scalded, he pretty much lost, was just very bad. And Ace, like this game shouldn't have even been as close as it was. It should have been a destruction. But Ace played around Crocune horribly and underprepped for other Endeavormons, which is very unfortunate.
It should have been a destruction for John or a destruction for Ace, not what we got. But one thing I also want to know is at the end, I don't know. This is a John couch, so I'm not entirely sure if it's true. But he had to bank on a max roll Gigavolt Havoc versus +6 Suicune to even kill it.
Because electric terrain was gone, so I do think that he ended up getting a pretty high roll. He even said it was a roll, but I never even checked. But I think it was like a near max roll, at least from my Sen 252 special attack.
Yeah, and that Mega Sceptile set you brought, Sub Endeavor, actually would have put in work if you actually brought the set, did the set correctly.
Yeah.
Which
sucks. It was bad prep on my part. Yeah. But yeah, Ace ended up pulling through, so that's props to him.
I think Ace overall just under prepped, which means the only reason you won was because you like negatively prepped.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not impressed by Ace's performance in week 1 or week 2, but definitely not someone to count out. He's 1-1 and he's in playoff contention in this early end. Just like John W can bounce back, I believe Ace can bounce back as well. Any closing thoughts?
No, not really.
All right, so let's get on to number 12. We have your opponent, correct, Lejon? We have Hiker, coach of the Boston Bulldogs. Why don't you talk about the match you guys had?
Lejon, you want to start this one off?
Pretty much I outplayed him all game. Like, he didn't have a chance of winning. So, that's just how it is when you play Lejon Flames, I'm just kidding. But, Hiker had momentum all of the early game. And pretty much, like, things were looking really down for me. Like, I was actually, like,
you were getting fucking tossed, but Hiker decides to be garbage. And
I thought I had lost, like, 20 turns in. I sacked my Cresselia for, like, absolutely no reason. And Beanie was just going to be a problem. But then he pursued my Raikou, and I was max HP, and I knew by that damage that he couldn't have killed me unless he was banded. So I went into Diancie, and looking at my team, it had a lot of different types, so I knew he would probably need the coverage over having Ice Shard, especially since Sneasel, the fastest thing on my team is Raikou, which it speed ties with. And, there's no reason to really run Ice Shard for that. And Rock Polish Diancie, I guess Hiker didn't predict it. So after a Calm Mind and a Rock Polish, I 2-hit KO'd Feeny and cleaned up. John, what do you have to say?
So the main thing I didn't like about Hiker's, like the way he played this match was versus he let his Ferrothorn get whittled so that Diancie could clean. So if he kept Ferrothorn healthy, he could have beat the Diancie, but for some reason he sacked it off to the Bisharp, which he played really poorly around. So yeah, but I really like how he scouted around the Raikou, scouting for Aura Spear. He played well around that, but overall wasn't really good performance by Hiker.
Yeah, he made some really good maneuvers around Raikou, and I was very impressed. And then when he killed Crest essentially like immediately in the game without Crest having done anything, it was actually looking really good for Hiker. But then Lejon brought Big Dig Bisharp in, and it started to turn around for Lejon's favor. And eventually, he let his Diancie check die to Bisharp, he basically lost to Diancie in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have anything else? Any closing thoughts on Hiker?
Hiker could play better. Both of his games have been pretty shit on his end, but he's a lucky bitch, so he got a win out of one of the games.
Nah, Hiker's been playing solid. I think he has a very good chance to do well throughout the season. He has I think he's like in the middle of the conference because it's only been 2 weeks, but he has a really good chance of making playoffs. I think.
Hiker's always a threat, and he beat me in LD playoffs, so you already know he's a real one. So hopefully we can see Hiker do well, unless he's facing one of the 3 of us, in which case he's gonna get tossed once again. So let's get on to number 11.
No, I don't think he's losing to John, but that's not.
Fuck you. This is bullshit.
So we're on the Sutopolis Swampert. Jack, the champion from last season, correct?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So he faced Turk in a pretty nice game. The only bout of hats I remember was the Surf Crit on Gliscor, which ability was huge, but Jack played pretty well and brought a lot of good sets. I really like Specs Latios. And I really liked his double nasty plot core with Salazzle and Thunderous Eye, and was really threatening. And I think it would have just 6-0'd Turk had he not brought that really clever Assault Vest Rotom Heat.
Yeah, for sure, dude. He did a really good job switching in the Specs Latios, even when it was really low, like under 20%. He still used that thing very effectively. As Turk really didn't have a good switch in after the Spadef Aggron went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was pretty much a typical Jack game, Like, watching Jack for, 2 seasons, this is typically how Jack games go. He keeps momentum all game and pretty much doesn't give his opponents a chance, which is what he did versus Turk, and that's why Jack won last season, and he's probably going to make playoffs again this season. So, we'll see how it goes.
I really liked his defensive core of Toxapex and Umbreon, and I don't think he even did he have Wish with Umbreon?
He had Moonlight, I think.
Yeah, so one thing that's really cool is he brought Protect even though he didn't have Wish just to scout the Blastophilon, and that pretty much what's the word? Made Blastophilon completely useless the entire game.
So something I would like to say is that Jack's team is way different compared to his championship roster last season. So it'll be interesting to see how Jack will adapt to his new team.
Yeah, his new team's a bit bulkier. So, that could be an issue, but I think Jack can.
I think the only thing we disliked was that he really lucked out versus the Gliscor, but Turk shouldn't have risked it in the first place. But yeah, definitely a solid game on his end. You guys have any closing thoughts?
No, I think Jack. That was a typical Jack game, as Lejon said.
Yeah, the previous champion, he's bouncing back from last week, and I'm sure he's going to be a top-tier threat in the coming weeks. So let's get on to number 10. Coach of the Carolina Pantherians, Techno. So, didn't he play Owen?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so that game was that game came down to the wire. It was very interesting. One thing I really liked is that he kept up hazards all game and brought some cool sets. Why don't you guys talk about that Zygarde set he brought?
He brought a camouflage Zygarde, so that way he would be able to handle the Pillow Slime. But the only problem is the fact that even though he bought camouflage, he still didn't sub up or do anything like that to capitalize on it. And he let it get poisoned, which means being camouflage is cool and all, but still he was on a timer at that point, and Zygarde's bulk couldn't do what he needed it to do, which was a problem.
Yeah, what I really liked about this game the most is how Techno kept up the hazards all game long and didn't really give Owen a chance to get rid of it.
And he also he was breaking Owen's bulk. He wasn't getting walled or anything, and it looked like he was going to win a lot of this game. But he just
he had a good momentum.
He just sort of got blown back by that Scolipede. I'm not even sure if there's anything you can really do to stop that. It just happened.
For sure.
Yeah. Given the Scolipede opportunity to set up on the Mienshao was definitely a mistake on his end, and he paid for it in the end game where Scolipede just swept his last 3 Pokemon. And as you guys were talking about, letting his Zygarde get toxic pretty much got the Zygarde became useless because it wasn't going to be wall breaking because it was a super bulky set, and so it was doing no damage to Owen's bulk, and then he could never set up subs again because the toxic would just whittle him down until he died. So I definitely don't agree with the fact that he let his Zygarde get toxic. But I think it was a solid game overall.
That was a very
came down to 11% Scolipede. Isn't that right?
Yes.
I think so.
Something crazy. Yeah, so Techno, it was a very close game. I think it was the most exciting game out of the entire week 2. So props to
Oh
Techno for
yeah,
that.
it was. I feel like it was Techno back-to-back weeks having really good games with his week 1 versus Lejon, a very close game, and his week 2 was also a very close game.
Yeah, Techno has the habit of in the Hive of getting last mon sweeps. So do you have any? You guys have any closing thoughts on Techno?
Yeah, Techno's been playing pretty good, and I think next week there's a pretty good chance he'll bounce back. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So good luck to Techno. We put you at number 10, but we can definitely see you rising up. So let's get into number 9, Zappy. So I was actually very impressed by Zappy. The one thing I was very impressed by was the Encore Calm Mind Moonblast Clefable set he brought, which literally 6-0'd Alex.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the Encore Clefable was it was very good versus it was very good versus Alex because the Reuniclus couldn't comp mine alongside with it. Because many of you know that Reuniclus has Psyshock, which can beat comp mine Clefable 1v1. So the Encore allows it to not beat it, which was a very cool, innovative set by Zappy.
Yeah, so that Reuniclus was really the only thing on Alex's team that could have beaten the Clefable once it got a calm mind up, and Zappy brought the perfect set to get rid of it, and pretty much won with Clefable in the end game. Alex didn't have a real Moonblast resist, and one thing I really liked, as I mentioned it when we were talking about Alex, he let his Weavile actually pursuit trap the Infernape after it killed Snorlax. It was at -2. Can you close the door? And then it did around like 87%, which was very impressive. And for a lot of the game, his defensive answers were checking a lot of Alex's offensive answers pretty well, and then he just swept with Clefable.
Yeah, he got a
Yeah.
bit unlucky with the sleep talk rolls on Snorlax, but it is sleep talk, so what do you expect? But I really enjoyed watching this one as it was a close game where Zappy didn't seem like he would win at the end, but he ultimately pulled through.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with everything y'all said.
I think if Zappy did not bring that perfect Clefable set, he would have lost. But props to him
Yeah.
for bringing that perfect Clefable set. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on Zappy?
No.
Zappy's been playing well throughout the season, even in the game he lost. So I think Zappy has a really good shot at making playoffs if he keeps playing this well. And even though his team is a lot of people didn't like it, I think it's very interesting and it has a lot of room to work with.
He has the GOAT Snorlax, so Zappy's bound to do well.
All right, yeah, never mind. Yeah.
So let's go to number 8. We got Owen. We were just talking about Techno, but Owen, I really liked this game. As we said, it was the most exciting game. One of the things I liked the most was his Tyrantrum set, actually using Tyrantrum, which is a lot of the time overlooked. Do you guys have any other thoughts on this game?
Owen, he played against Techno, and yeah, the Tyrantrum really came in clutch. A lot of people don't utilize their low tier mons well, but Owen, he got he bought the right thing, and Tyrantrum pretty much with Head Smash went in, especially after Zygarde was dead, which was very helpful for him. Also, you can tell Owen's the type of tryhard because he bought one of those resist berries. Only the most tryhardy of tryhards do that. So
Yeah.
he made sure to ensure the late game sweep, and everybody thought he lost, but Owen pulling the win out of his sleeve. So that was very impressive.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to a more negative note, and I'm gonna talk about the things that I didn't like about Owen's game. So the first thing I didn't like is how he dodged a Hydro Pump, which was I don't know if that ended up mattering at the end, but he still dodged one, so that's kind of unfortunate for Techno.
Would have done a lot for Tyrantrum, I think.
Yeah, and then he sacked Sharpedo really early on, which he should have preserved for later on in the match, but it's fine. He ended up winning, so I guess it doesn't matter in the end. And he won by, I feel like that was too close of a win. I don't know if Owen would be comfortable with those wins every week.
Yeah, it was a very shaky win, but he literally waited for the exact perfect time to set up with Scolipede and won on 11%, which it was a very exciting game and a very exciting thing to see.
Yeah.
So, you guys have anything else to say about Owen?
No.
Before I close out, is take an L, Owen, for not using Sharpedo well. You're my Sharpedo brother, so I have to keep you in check if you're not using Sharpedo well. So
Sharpedo's God.
Make sure it puts in work next week, or your position in the power rankings may be a little shaky. So let's get on to number 7.
Yeah.
I don't know why this guy's so high. We got Lejon Flames.
We got Lejon Waves.
Oh, you did it right this time. I'm proud of you, John.
So on a more serious note, I actually really like this game. I think Lejon, it looked very shaky from the beginning and to the middle game, as we talked about in Hiker Toad's power ranking. But
Bro,
Lejon,
all I
you really
gotta
brought
say
it
is
back.
that Lejon is ass and sack the fucking crest again.
I can honestly say that like I did not play well early game. I did things like I had Raikou set up, and for some reason I decided I'm gonna switch out into my Bishop, and then decided to let that get killed, even though it got rid of the Fairthorn, which was very important. But it still could have done more if I didn't let it get killed. And Raikou also could have done more if I didn't let it get Pursuit Trap, but it getting Pursuit Trap pretty much paved the way for Diancie to sweep. And Cresselia, we just don't talk about what we did with Cresselia. Like, that was just
Lejon
really
doesn't
horrible.
like Cresselia, so he brings it and kills it every week.
Yeah, you know,
I feel like everyone watching this game felt like Lejon was gonna lose. Like, no offense, Lejon, you were getting destroyed the first like 20 turns or something, but then you bring out the DNC, bank on the no ice shirt, and pull a pretty nice comeback.
See, here's what happened. See, last week I was like, you know what? Fuck Ashley playing well all game, because I'm just gonna get swept late anyway. So I'm gonna do what Techno did to me to Hiker. You know, that's how you win games.
Oh, one thing I really liked was that you deliberately didn't Mega with Diancie to get more bulk to tank that Scald up like it was nobody's business. And then you use that to set up and then win, which I really liked.
Oh yeah, and also Lejon got carried in prep, so you gotta mention.
I mean, yeah, I came up with the Diancie set by myself, but John and Mayo helped me a lot with other sets like Skarmory, Bishop, Raikou, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the game was looking bad, but Lejon brought it back with Bishop and Diancie. Basically, his setup sweepers and won a very nice game versus Hiker. 3-0, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so very nice. Good job to Lejon. I can see him rising if he keeps bringing good sets like that Mega Diancie set. Do you have any closing thoughts on your own game, Lejon?
Fuck.
I think even though like Diancie did well, I think I got bailed out. I should have played a lot better early, and if I don't play better in later weeks, I'm gonna be screwed. So you know, gotta step it up. You know how it is.
All right, I will be back in 30 seconds. I just did something retarded. Fuck.
Okay. Well, it's John.
I will take John's place in the power rankings. Never fear, Jake is here.
Oh,
Jake is here.
Bro, the seamless introduction. So number 6, we got Justin, coach of the Tustin Tyranitar. He was my opponent, so I'll talk a little bit about him. And one thing that really impressed me about him was he used Mega Lopunny very well. That thing was a pain in the dick, even though it shouldn't have been as much of a pain as I allowed it to be. But he really used it well. He set up subs on good predictions. Brought a really good set, Adamant Quick Attack, which really pressured my Sharpedo, Beedrill, and Hoopa, even though I had webs up. And he kept a ton of hazards on the field, so I couldn't make any pivots. So I had to stay in with my Pokemon almost the entire game. I couldn't even defog the hazards because I would get rid of my own webs. So he really punished me for not wanting to defog my own webs, which I thought was really nice.
All right, I'm back.
Wait. Before anybody says anything, Jake, do you have anything to say on our previous rankings while you're here?
Well, I just wanted to say that all the stuff said about Hiker was just top 10 overrated players in the community. Don't at me. But anyway, peace.
What was that? Okay,
you
get
heard it
that
here first.
trash ass out of
Hiker
here.
Toad is top 10 overrated player, but let's talk a little bit more about Justin. You mentioned this, that what you didn't really like is that he didn't bring hazard removal versus webs, and I can understand that. And overall, he was very weak to Sharpedo, and if I made just like one good prediction, I would have won a lot more comfortably than I did. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah.
Well,
Justin
yeah, I
played
think
very-
not bringing.
Justin played solid.
Yeah, what John said,
He
and not
kept
bringing
looking.
hazard removal versus webs and rocks was just killer. Like you can't win games if you do things like that. So you
Dude,
got to step
my
it up.
OU team's never had hazard removal. I bring like
This
fucking-
isn't OU's league, my friend.
Okay. I just want to point one thing out. John's OU team don't have hazard removal, and he's number 16 in the power ranking. I think there may be a correlation here.
What the fuck?
Actually, yes, I agree.
But yeah, Justin. One thing I also know is I crit him with Aqua Jet, which did matter in killing Low Punny, but the end game after that was muddy, so it could have been my win, it could have been his win, but we take that, Hacks. Lucky dogs for forever. So let's get on to the next one, boys. We got number 5, Greg. Someone I'm a little conflicted at putting him number 5 because his game was pretty bad, but he was number 1 last week, and he did get hacks, so we put him number 5. Oh, you got something to say?
Well, I don't know if the hacks even mattered because I do feel like Rob would have won anyway.
Yeah, I kind of
think he would have won, but he wouldn't have won as big. I mean, I don't understand what Greg's answer to Jirachi was because, like, by the looks of it, he really didn't have an answer. So it was just like, I mean, like his answer, I guess, could have been still volley, but like, it doesn't have any way to heal itself. So pretty much when it got flinched down, it was just like.
Okay, to be fair, Rachi Ironhead flinches like they aren't that bad because they're 60% chance. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think the flinches they affected the they definitely affected
the
score,
outcome,
but I think
it's not like it's a fucking
John, that's like
Mew.
the same chance of hitting a sting, and you know all about that,
bro. Okay, so it's not like it's like a fucking Mew going for Ironhead or some shit and flinching. It's a Jirachi, which is what it's known for to do.
Yeah, so honestly, it was in Rob's favor to flinch Greg down a lot of the times. And the things, certain things that should have been able to flinch down, like Savali Steel, which it did flinch down in the end game, wouldn't have done anything to Jirachi anyways. So.
Yeah. So.
One thing I also really didn't like was his Gallade got toxic really early, and then that was pretty much it for Gallade.
Yeah, the two biggest things that I would have to say is the Flamethrower occurred on Scizor and the Ironhead flinch on Mamo.
Yeah, especially the Ironhead flinch on Mamo, even though it's a good chance, it still sucks because Greg needed Mamo to not
if he broke through that turn, that would have been a dead Rachi. I think Greg would have pulled through at the end.
Yeah, if that Jirachi didn't flinch that Mamo, this would have been an entirely different game, and we could have seen Greg still number 1 in the power rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Greg is still a really good player and makes some pretty good content on his channel. It's Gregulator. But yeah, you guys have any closing thoughts for Greg?
No.
No, not really. You know, Greg's solid. I think Greg has a nice team he knows how to use, and I expect him to, keep on winning. Except when he plays us.
One thing to note is that Greg inspired me to use webs from his week 1 beatdown of Ace. Hopefully we can see another beatdown so we can justify putting Greg at number 1 again. So let's get on to number 4, Genius X. Why don't you guys talk a little about Genius X?
Okay.
So I'll start off, I guess. So Genius ended up playing II, which is spoiler, he's number 1 on the power rankings. And the thing I didn't like about this match, which really affected Genius in the end, was that he switched in Starmie on the Mega Kangaskhan, which really fucked up his chances in this game because I feel like that play was really unnecessary, as he had a Cofagrigus which 100% walled the Mega Kangaskhan.
Yeah, definitely. That was a huge turning point. Why don't you
I feel like Genius played. I feel like Genius played really out of character this game. I guess it was because he was playing another good player in II, but I feel like Genius was doing things I don't typically see him go. Typically the best thing about Genius's games is the way he plays. But this week I think he bought a nice team, but he just didn't play very well. He let Ditto just run shop on him, just keep coming in on things. And there's one turn where he could have predicted the Ditto to come in on a Sleep Spore and Sludge Bomb, but instead he Sleep Spored, which kept Ditto healthy enough to stop his Zards. I mean, I forgot what mon it was, but one of his mons from sleeping later, which was really a problem.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I don't know if this would have actually happened, but maybe Genius could have done a better job concealing Zardex's last move. So I would bring Ditto in and realize that it has no way to touch Genius's Zardex because Genius only had Flare Blitz as its only attacking move.
One thing to note about that is I brought the exact same Zard set in a mock versus II, so my II was definitely savvy to sub Flare Blitz Charizard X.
Mm-hmm. It was a good bring.
But like you said, John, I think the major turning point was he sacked Starmie for no reason. As we saw in the game, Kangaskhan couldn't do anything Cofagrigus and was eventually forced to switch out. So the fact that he literally let Starmie die, and Starmie was very threatening to II's team, and he let it die for nothing, which was pretty huge.
Dude, I really liked the Celestial set. I really liked how it just sat there and kept throwing off Leech Seeds.
Yeah, and I think that Zard X set, like you said, that Zard X set was super interesting. And since I thought of it as well as Genius thought of it, you know that it's a very sound set. But yeah, do you guys have any closing thoughts on Genius?
He didn't play very well this week, but Genius has one of the best teams, and he's one of the best players. So I expect him to, just come back and win next week.
Yeah, this definitely
one of the
wasn't a
best.
stomp over game. Genius has still has one of the most threatening teams in the entire league, and if you underestimate him, you're gonna catch a body. You guys ready to go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yep. Number 3, we have Rob, coach of the Gotham City Golurks.
Well, John, you want to take this one?
Yeah, LeJon.
Yeah, Rob pretty much, he used the most skillful strategy of getting a Jirachi and clicking Ironhead. I mean, it's that easy. That's all you gotta do. Just click Ironhead every single turn. Oh, you have a Mamoswine? Click Ironhead. They have a Sizzle that's at +2? Click Ironhead. Just flinch it down. That's all you need. We crit flamethrowers. We do all of it because just click Ironhead. Like, that's why people draft Jirachi and Togekiss, because flinch score, that's the most skillful way to
He
win
doesn't
game.
have a Togekiss. You have downs. Okay.
I know he doesn't have Togekiss, but I'm saying, just flinch.
What? Okay.
But in reality,
John,
Jirachi body bag Greg's team.
Yeah, Rob recognized that flinching down everything was the correct strategy, and a lot of the time, even if he didn't flinch down certain Pokemon, Jirachi wouldn't have died afterwards. But he got critical flinches in certain moments, which definitely affected the outcome of the game. But we're talking about Jirachi. It's in Rob's favor to flinch you. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is another game with Rob hacks. So maybe in week 3 he can pick up a non-hacksy dub, but we'll have to find out and see then. But yeah, so Rob played this really well with the Primarina, getting nice chip off on Manaphy, just overall using it well, except for the part where he sacked it off to the Scizor for no reason, as he just ended up going Jirachi after and flinching it down. So yeah, and I also didn't like how he switched in Hydreigon on Manaphy's Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah, that pretty much killed his Hydreigon then and there. But in the end, Jirachi is such the GOAT Pokemon that it didn't even matter. 60% chance, that's all you need to win, boys. Remember that. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on Rob?
Rob's a good player, and I'm pretty sure he'll keep it up. He's like, people say he's been known to be really good. He's in MPO Majors, which is a pretty good league, and so I expect Rob to stay doing great things all season.
Yeah. Let's get on to the MVP of the power rankings, the boy Illusion. I'll just talk.
He's 2-0 because he has Hoopa. So
yeah,
that's all there is to it.
LeJon didn't pick Hoopa, so he's 1-1, but I picked Hoopa, so I'm 2-0, and that's all what we gotta say. But yeah, speaking a little bit more seriously about this game, one thing I think was in my favor was I managed to get hazards up really early. Webs especially pressured Justin's team a lot. And Justin, as we revealed when we're talking about his power rankings, didn't have hazard removal. So those webs made Hoopa that much more threatening versus his team. And something else I really like about sounds arrogant. I liked about how I played was that I had a momentum for a lot of the game due to having webs up. So I was pressuring Justin's team a lot. But yeah, so I pressured his team a lot with the webs up, which in the end game allowed me to win with Beedrill. And Sharpedo once again proving its worth, and it pressured Justin a lot. It got rid of Sandygast. It killed Lopunny, and only died to its own Life Orb recoil. I
don't know how you let that Mega Lop get a sub up at the end, but it ended up working out, so I guess it didn't matter.
Not gonna lie, I feel like you would have had a lot rougher time if your opponent actually decided to bring hazard removal. But, I guess he didn't, so that's just what happened.
Yeah.
My matchup was terrible. I had no Klefki answer. He had the best Hoopa answers in the game, but Hoopa still managed to put in work. But
there's no such thing as a Hoopa answer.
That's true.
Unbound.
One thing I really didn't like was I let Mega Lopunny set a sub up when I switched out to Zapdos. I really don't know what I was thinking there, but I was scared of fake out, scared of quick attack and whatnot. I should have. I saw sub in both of my mocks I took, so I should have been wary of that. And if I liquidationed and he got this, didn't get a sub, that would have been really good for me. But the game was not very clean. it ended up coming down to an Aquajet crit on the low punny, but that guaranteed won me the game. But it was definitely a fun one, and I'm glad to be 2-0 within the top 3. You guys have anything else to say?
No, I think we're good. So next up, we got number 1 for Hive B-Drill Week 2 Power Rankings, Mr. II, coach of the Connecticut Cobalions. And this man is 2-0 right now, and he's just been tearing through the league. He teared through last season when he took over, and he's still continuing his onslaught.
You guys don't know how much it hurts to put my fellow Trick of Eye member II higher than me, but I had to because his wins, unlike mine, both of his wins were super clean, and I think he played very well and prepped very well in both of those games.
He's been playing and prepping very well, and his wins, like, he's pretty much had momentum, and all of the games he's been in, I really couldn't see him losing at any point in those games. And he has a bunch of scary things on his team, like Mega Kang, Mimikyus, things like that. Scary to prep for, which probably puts a lot of work on his opponents to come up with creative sets to beat him. But they haven't been finding a way to do it so far. We'll see how it goes throughout the rest.
Yeah, I really liked how I concealed the Mimikyu set until when he needed it, which was really good on his end.
Yeah. One thing to know about it is that he did dodge a sleep powder with Necrozma, which affected things. But we also got to realize that Mega Kangaskhan, even with its double body slams, didn't get any paras, even though it hit certain Pokemon. So a little bit of hacks on both sides.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it not getting a pair of hats, but yeah, I mean, see what you mean.
Yeah. One thing we all agreed that we really liked was he saved the Mimikyu's disguise until he really needed it, and that worked very well. And he also used Ditto very well. And Ditto is a Pokemon a lot of people overlook and think it's one-dimensional, but I was using it to whittle down, heal himself up with opposing Celesteela's Leech Seeds and dodging Sleep Powders and just pressuring Genius's team a lot. And I really liked how I've been using unconventional Mons like Mega Kangaskhan and Ditto very well.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything to add? Okay, so just closing thoughts on this power ranking is don't expect II to be number 1 for long because I'm the real power behind Trick of Eye. So when we face each other, expect Illusion number 1. Do you guys?
Okay, so pretty much Illusion and John Orac just confirmed.
Bro,
but I hope y'all enjoyed these power rankings.
I will not be number 1. I will win.
Pray for John W. Pray for John W. in the comments. Pray that he gets a win in the Hive, please. He needs your thoughts. He needs your prayers. And with that said, see you guys later.